G'day guys, Wade here, Excel Painting Contractors, your painting experts. So I had a question come in, and that question is, can I paint brickwork when I've got a rendered front of my house and then render it later once I've got the money to do so? So this comes from a question that was posed to me on Facebook, and they said, hey look, we've got a house, the front of it's been rendered or plastered, but the sides and the back are still brick. Can I paint that just to tie it in for now, and then down the track plaster that? They've already had a painter look at it and he said no, you can't do that, or I wouldn't recommend it. So not that I'm going to contradict it completely, but what I am going to say is that absolutely you can. Now there's a few factors to consider. One of them is how sound the paint surface is. So if it's already painted and you've got flaking going on and peeling paint, then you really have to remove all that before you render. If the paint surface is sound, or if you haven't even painted it and you're going to paint it, then absolutely. So you know, the painting procedure is, and look, there are several ways to go about this. Some paints have a depending on the brick and the condition of the brick. So the way they say you should go is to put a pigmented primer on it and then 2 top coats of acrylic. Absolutely, that is the 100% way to do it. However, depending on the paint company, some have a paint that is a self primer, and if it's put on correctly, I've done jobs that I've gone past almost 30 years later and it looks, actually I've done jobs that have gone over 30 years later and it looks as good as the day I put it up. So let's wind back a little bit. If you're going to tie it in, so you want to have your render the same color as your brickwork and you want to tie it in, so for your roadside appeal it all looks the same, and then down the track over a few, you know, over the next few years, might be 3 to 5 years, or whenever your budget comes together, or not at all. I mean, there are architectural houses out there that have plaster and then brickwork, some of it painted. I've done all sorts of interesting architectural ideas of the time. But when it comes to doing the plastering, technology has moved forward in quite advanced leaps and bounds. I'm not going to drop name brands too much, but I have used Aquatex, which is a Dulux product, and they put an emulsion over the paintwork. So once you've cleaned it down, it's been power washed and it's a sound, it's been tested to make sure that that paint is sound. Then they put an emulsion over it, which is a keen agent, before they put the plaster over the top, and then hey presto. Now if there's any plasterers out there that want to add to that, feel free to do so. It can do, and this is a caveat, it can, if you put this on, so after you've done the painting, to tie it in with the plaster you've hit at the front, it could be an extra expense down the track if there's a failing in the paint. So if it's been left for 15 years and it starts flaking, then you may have to look at removing that paint, stripping it off, which is a big job, an expensive job. But it was only within the next 3 to 7 years sort of thing, and even in extreme temperature. Now this question actually came originally from Australia, but I've worked in Australia, in Western Australia, and I can tell you now that the paint is designed to last if it's put on properly. If it's put on properly, then there is no reason why the paint shouldn't last. I don't care. I mean, New Zealand's got extreme UV, and it's the same thing here. If you put it on properly, that paint will stick. If that's done properly, when it comes to putting your plaster on, you shouldn't have too many issues. So keep your questions coming in, and I look forward to answering more of them for you in the future. Probably as I've been doing this, I think what I need to, because what I'm talking about when I say properly, I'm not going to do it now because that's a whole different, another video, another YouTube experience. When we talk about properly, what do I mean by properly? Well, I think actually that might be what we talk about the next time. So next time, I've decided next time we're going to talk about what do I mean by paint put on properly.